The smell of burnt coffee and exhaustion hung in the small-town convenience store that night. It was nearly midnight, and the flickering fluorescent lights painted long shadows across the scuffed tile floor. A man stood at the counter, tall, rugged, with eyes that had seen too much for his 30-something years. His name was Ethan, a single dad working double shifts at the auto repair shop, barely holding life together for his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Ethan had just picked up a loaf of bread, a carton of milk, and a small pack of marshmallows. A rare treat he promised Lily after a long week of being brave. But as he stepped to the counter, he noticed something strange. The young cashier's hands were trembling as she scanned his items. Not just a little, shaking so badly that she dropped the bread. Twice. Her face flushed red with embarrassment, and her lips pressed into a tight, forced smile. Ethan frowned, his rough voice softening as he asked quietly,
"Hey, you okay?"
The girl, barely 19, with tired eyes and a name tag that read Maya, froze. For a second she looked like she might burst into tears. Then she whispered, "I'm fine, sir, sorry about that." But her voice cracked, and Ethan could tell she was anything but fine. "Tu shekel de CTO win before we go further. If you believe kindness still matters in this world, hit that like button, subscribe to Kindness Universe, and share this story to remind others that compassion can change everything." Ethan didn't push further at first. He paid, took his change, and stepped aside to bag his groceries. But as he looked back, he saw her struggling again, this time with another customer. Her hands shook so violently that she couldn't even open the cash drawer. The man in line behind him muttered something rude, and Maya's face crumpled, her eyes filling with tears. She tried to blink away. Something in Ethan's chest twisted. He had seen that same look before. The look of someone trying way too hard to hold their life together while it quietly fell apart. He turned back. "Maya," he said softly, "do you want me to call someone? Manager? Or maybe—" he hesitated, realizing how fragile she seemed. "Or maybe you just need a break." She looked up at him, eyes wide, trembling. Then suddenly, she blurted out the truth. "I'm sorry, sir. It's just, I haven't eaten in 2 days." Ethan froze. "I had to choose between paying for my mom's insulin or buying groceries," she whispered. "And I chose her. I just can't stop shaking now. I feel so weak." The air between them fell silent. Even the buzzing lights seemed to pause. Ethan's heart sank like a stone. He knew that kind of hunger. Not just the kind that gnaws at your stomach, but the kind that eats away at your soul. Years ago, after his wife passed in a car accident, Ethan had known nights when he'd gone without food so Lily could eat. Nights when he'd lied to her, saying he wasn't hungry, just tired. Now looking at Maya, pale, trembling, trying to hold it together in her oversized uniform, he saw himself. Without a word, Ethan reached into his bag, took out the loaf of bread and tore the bag open. He held it out across the counter. "Here, eat something. Now." Maya shook her head, eyes filling with tears. I can't take that. You have a daughter. I can't." Ethan's voice was firm but kind. "You can, because I know what it's like to pretend you're okay when you're not." Her lip quivered. Slowly, she took the bread. The moment she bit into it, tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered between bites. "I didn't mean to." He stopped her. "Never apologize for being human." They sat in silence for a moment, a tired mechanic and a starving cashier in a near-empty store, bound by invisible threads of shared pain. When she'd eaten enough to stop shaking, Ethan asked softly, "Where's your mom now?" Maya looked down. "Ate home. She's sick. I work nights so I can afford her medicine. But I think I'm failing." Ethan's jaw tightened. "No, you're not. You're fighting." She gave a sad smile. "Feels like I'm losing the fight." He wanted to tell her something she'd remember. So he took a deep breath and said, "You know what my little girl told me once?" She said, "Daddy, superheroes don't wear capes. They just don't give up. I think you're one of those." Maya's tears spilled freely now. "I don't feel like one." "That's because the real ones never do," he replied. Ethan didn't leave right away. He waited until her shift ended and offered her a ride home. She resisted at first, embarrassed, but eventually accepted. The drive was quiet, filled with the hum of old country music from his truck radio. When they reached her neighborhood, a crumbling set of apartment buildings with peeling paint, Ethan got out to carry her groceries. Her apartment was dim and small. Inside, an older woman lay asleep on a couch, an oxygen tube in her nose. Maya whispered, "That's my mom, Clara. She used to be a nurse. Now she can barely stand." Ethan nodded softly. He placed the groceries on the counter, then noticed the empty fridge. Not empty like, "We need to shop soon." Empty like nothing but a bottle of ketchup and an old lemon. Something in him snapped. He left quietly, drove to the 24-hour supermarket across town, and spent nearly his entire week's pay filling 2 carts, food, medicine, and basic supplies. He didn't even think twice. When he returned, Maya opened the door, eyes widening.
What? What is this?
"Groceries," he said simply. "And maybe a second chance to rest." She was speechless. You don't even know me." He smiled gently. "You don't need to know someone to care." Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Maya crossed paths often. He'd stop by the store to check in, sometimes bringing soup or sandwiches for her and her mom. He never asked for anything in return. But one night, Maya handed him an envelope. "You helped me when you didn't have to," she said. "So I wrote something for you." Inside was a simple handwritten note. It said, "Chua, you reminded me that kindness isn't weakness, it's strength. You reminded me to believe again." Ethan swallowed hard. He tucked the note in his wallet and kept it there, right next to a photo of his late wife. Months later, Maya's mother recovered enough to walk again. Maya got accepted into a nursing program, following in her mother's footsteps, and Ethan's small repair shop, which had been struggling, suddenly found unexpected success. A local news outlet did a feature on him after learning about his quiet act of kindness. People began supporting his business, inspired by his story. When the reporter asked why he did it, Ethan's answer was simple. "Because someone once helped me when I was the one shaking." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Universe. Every click helps spread more compassion in a world that needs it desperately. Months turned into years, and their lives continued to intertwine in small, beautiful ways. Lily called Maya Big Sis, and Maya would visit often, bringing cookies or helping with homework. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the horizon, Ethan stood outside the shop, watching Lily play in the fading light. He smiled, thinking of how far they'd come, all because of one small act of compassion. He realized then that sometimes, the most life-changing moments don't come from grand gestures or perfect timing. They come from noticing the trembling hands of a stranger and choosing to care. Because kindness doesn't just change the one who receives it, it transforms the one who gives it too. Moral: when you see someone shaking, don't turn away. You never know how much hope a small act of kindness can bring.